Earlier, we reported the governor of Tennessee was not going to order citizens to shelter in place. This is what Republican Governor Bill Lee said, quote, "There is a wide range of efforts across the country, none of which has given much real data or evidence of what is most effective in social distancing." That's just wrong. Joining me now by phone is Democratic Congressman Steve Cohen of Tennessee. Congressman, you sent a letter to the governor today imploring him to issue a mandatory shelter-in-place order, calling it the greatest health crisis in your state's history. I'm wondering what your reaction to the stance that Governor Lee is taking.
Well, I've been surprised. I told him on a call we had with the entire congressional delegation last week that I thought he should do it, and wrote him originally that he should do that. He gave a response that he was concerned about personal freedoms. And it was this is not a time to be concerned about personal freedoms. We're talking about the most serious public health crisis in the history of our earth. There has probably never been a crisis that will result in so many deaths, and certainly not in the United States. And in Tennessee, we know, and he knows today, he said he's trying to get dormitories and convention centers and hotels to be lined up as additional hospital rooms, because he foresees the next 3 to 4 weeks the hospital is being overwhelmed. Well, if he sees the hospital is being overwhelmed, he ought to take action in spite of his concern about quote-unquote personal freedoms to protect Tennesseans' lives. I had a friend die today, Dan Spector in Memphis. John Prine is a friend of mine. He's in stable but critical condition. I felt good that he was in stable, not critical, but Dan went from critical to critical but stable and died. There are going to be lots of Tennesseans die, and this is no time for that. We need to act with the most care that we can, the most protection we can for citizens, because people don't know they have this.
Right.
And I'm personally, my district is a district that's on the border of Arkansas and Mississippi. I was pleased that even Mississippi went to a standard and mandated shelter in place, and they border us, and we're going to get there sick.
I mean, what limits personal freedoms is having a tube shoved down your throat and being hooked up to a ventilator because you can't breathe and a machine breathes for you. That's really what ends up hurting your personal freedom, and that's what's going to happen to an awful lot of people. We talk about it, we're all in this together, and literally we are, because what's happening in your state, if Tennessee doesn't have these orders in place, there's going to be more people die there than in neighboring states, but all of those who do have them in place are going to have them in place longer, because ultimately Tennessee is going to end up with shelter in place. And they're just going to do it late, and more people are going to die.
Right. The virus doesn't know county lines or city lines. Governor Beshear in Kentucky instructed his people not to go to Tennessee because we have a less strict, less careful, less healthy policy than Kentucky. And what I've seen, and it's really distressing, is basically red states that have not had the more stringent controls and health protections for their citizenry, and it's because they're following Trump, who said it would just disappear. It would just the flu. It'll magically
Well,
disappear.
do you think, I mean, now that the president has at least, seems to accept the 100,000 to 240,000 figure, which, by the way, is based on the idea that all states have shelter-in-place orders, which they don't. Do you think if the president said, you know what, to all the governors, you should do this, I can't mandate it legally, but all of you should do this, that would at least give the governors cover to do it?
It gives them cover, and I suspect that's why Florida, Georgia, and Mississippi acted today. But, Trump was for the second coronavirus bill that we passed in the House, and there were still 40 Republicans that voted no on giving people that suffered from this unemployment compensation, sick leave, gave free tests, gave hospitals and more opportunity, small business more opportunity. And the 40, even though Trump was for it, voted against it, and they were predominantly from the southern red states. And it says something about their constituencies and them. Even with Trump giving them cover, they still were not willing to go beyond what I think they have thought their constituency thought. And their constituency must think that they are beyond this, that they are somehow impervious to this virus. Well, they're going to get it just like people who are blue people are going to get it. It doesn't know blue and red. It knows people. It knows lungs. It knows eyes. It knows mouths. It knows noses. and the governor should know that, and he should protect Tennesseans.
Okay,
We're the volunteer state. We shouldn't volunteer. We should be forced to do this, because when we go out, even if you don't know you have the virus, you're spreading it to other people, and that's the most damnable thing you could be doing, and you need to be concerned about that. Get in your house and watch some tube and learn how to cook.
Is there widespread testing in your state, at least?
Well, there's some. It's not widespread. Memphis, our mayor in Memphis has done a good job. All the mayors, which are blue areas and have Democratic mayors, have all ordered shelter in place, but the rural areas have not, and the governor has not, and it's irresponsible. You know, it's astonishing to me, Anderson. He says he's the governor, and he's a nice guy, but you know, you can be a nice guy, you need to act. And he says this is personal freedoms. When it comes to a woman's choice, he's not concerned about personal freedom. When it comes to somebody being in possession of marijuana, he's not for personal freedom. When it comes to sexual activities between consenting adults, he's not for personal freedom. But when it comes to some yahoo walking on the street and breathing a unknown virus out to others, that's personal freedom.
Yeah.
That's not.
Congressman Cohen, stay safe.